then going away to school was interesting for me. And I think that at that time in the 60s, where recruiting wasn't like it is today, probably to go as far as Missouri was not a good choice. It was a great academic school, and I had a great time, and playing was tough. And, the thing is, you go and you get nicked. And when you're nicked, you're 2 on the chart, and you get nicked, and now you're 6 on the chart. And then you get healthy, and you get back up to 3 on the chart, and you get nicked again. And, so it was tough having played so much in grade school and high school. But it was a great experience. And I played with some great players, and Roger Worley was a good friend of mine, and played with the Cardinals, and he's in the Hall of Fame, the whole 9 yards. Gary Barnett, coach at Northwestern, and in Colorado, we played together. And it was funny. We go to spring practice, and we go up to Northwestern with staff and Coach Toth and Pope and so forth. We all go up, and Gary take care of us and so forth. Then in the season, this is probably another thing I shouldn't tell, but when we were at Ursuline, I said, we got to have a phone in our office. Somebody gets hurt, we got to have a phone. And of course, Tom Carey's principal, and he raised 9 kids and worked 3 jobs, and he says, well, you can have a phone, but you guys got to pay for it. I go, oh, that's great, right? We're going to have to pay for it. And then, of course, when he retired, and then the other guy came in, he wasn't very good, helpful. Ben Glarick was a lot helpfuler and better principal for me. But anyways, so we get the phone. So now we got to pay for it, right? So how do you think we're paying for it? We're betting college games. We're betting college games. I got 2 guys, I won't say who they are, on the staff, that they were in charge of making sure we got enough money to keep our phone on for a whole year. And of course, they go, call Barnett, find out if his quarterback. I go, I can't do that. Call him. All right. I said, how's it going, man? I said, hey, how's the quarterback going to play? You son of a bitch. I can't. What? You guys are betting. I go, it's nickel dime, man. We got to keep our phone going. He says, yeah, he's playing. It ain't going to matter. I laugh. We laugh. Oh, I tell you. And that's how we paid our phone. I'll tell you a great story with, I had a player at Howland, linebacker. His brother is pitching for the Marlins right now. Tyler Scott, or Tanner Scott, is the left-handed pitcher for the Marlins. He didn't play football because he didn't want to compete with his brother. Tyler played linebacker for us, and great academic kid, great thing. And so Northwestern starts looking at him, and Fitzgerald's the coach, and he played for Barney. And he's looking at him. He really likes him, and he's not sure. And Barney calls me. He says he likes him, but I don't know. You call him. So I call Fitzgerald one day. I'm going to school, and I go, Fitz, what's going on? He says, hey, I really like Scott, but you think he can play? I go, let me do this. Let me do this. Here's what I'm going to do. I said, you take him. And if he doesn't start by his sophomore year, I'll give you my salary. I go, but if he starts as a freshman or a sophomore, I want your salary. He goes, are you out of your mind? I go, yeah, I think that's a fair bet. I'm willing to put my salary on it, aren't you? He says, no, but I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take him. And he took him. He ended up being his starting linebacker, captain for him, the whole 9 yards. So, it's that Youngstown in you. You stand up for your kids, you fight for them, you get them. You get them where they got to go, right? Yep. You did it, Ron, your whole life. Yep. And it's what made it fun. Absolutely. Despite people throwing quarters and dimes and beer bottles down.
We've been going through like 87, 88. Do you, I think in 87 and 88, you were coaching. That would have been Ron's first and second years. One year it was 14-0, 21-0, and another one is a little closer, 14-6. Do you have any memories coaching against Ron or against those players, or maybe a view of like the Chaney program at that time?
Well, the thing was that took over for Ed. Ed had done a good job. They were constant winners and so forth. And we knew the one thing when you played Chaney, man, they were going to be coached up because they were doing it the right way. They were running the program like I learned at Camel, and they learned from their coaches that Ron was at Syracuse. He knew how to coach, and he knew how to organize, and he knew how to prepare, and he knew how to attack. So you better do the same thing, or you're going to get beat. And you better hope that things went your way. And I always said close games always came down to one or two plays. Don't turn the ball over. Don't make mistakes, because it's going to be one or two that's going to decide a close game. And if we won those games, I'm sure that's what happened. We got a decent offensive play, or we got a great defensive play, or we didn't screw up, or whatever. There were no blow-ups, that's for sure. And that's the way I coach. I always felt that if we could play good defense and stay within 6 points of the team, or be winning by 6 points, then we had a hell of a chance to win all the time. And it was a more run game than it is today. Which I grew up with and appreciated, and I still do, and I think there's still a place for it. But that was it. I mean, it was that we weren't better than they were. They weren't better than we were. We got, we made those two critical plays, and they did, and that's why we won.
So we just, this past week, 1988, was just released, the season 1980 season, and a name came up, and there's a couple comments from on the YouTube video, but one of the things we talked about in that was a player named Diallo Anderson. And wow. So Ron, do you want to kind of give a little background on that story, just about refereeing that game? Do you remember?
Yeah. It was he was playing for Volney at the time, and that was the big deliberation teetering on whether he was going to go to Ursuline or not. And I was just it was 88.
When 87, 88 was, you said you had just got hired, so it would have been 87.
I just got hired, and I was officiating a basketball game, and he committed a foul, and I called a foul on him, and then he had something to say, and I teed him, and then he had something to say again, and I threw him out of the game, and that kind of sealed the deal, I guess. Maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. But I still contend this. He was good friends with Mac Gilchrist. I'm sure you remember Mac.
Mac, he was a great player for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still think I got the best end out of that deal, and that's not taking anything away from it.
No. That's what you should say. And the thing with me was Butchie was on him so bad. Yeah. Really, really, a lot more than I was. But I said, if this guy's putting all this time in, I better throw my quarter in too.
Well,
I remember being at a Volney game, and somebody said, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I go, "My cousin's playing." D was playing,
Yeah.
but he, I dealt as legally as possible, I guess. He came up to Ursuline. He had been at Mooney. He came up to Ursuline on not recruitment day, but open house day or whatever. And, I sat down with his mom and, I said, look, I'll tell you right now, the only thing I can tell you is I'm gonna make sure he's going to graduate. He's going to go to college and he's going to do the right things, if he's good enough to play, he's going to play freshman. If not, he's got to make it the whole 9 yards, I said, I think we were better than Mooney because we're closer and all that other shit. But actually, I never talked about Chaney at all. I know I did because I was more concerned about because the word was that Mooney had him.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that I mean, I didn't throw him out of the game because
No, I know.
because I'm saying you don't want to come to Chaney, then you're not going to finish this game.
He wouldn't have remembered anyways. No, he was a good kid.
But
he
as it turned out, I mean, whether he was even entertaining coming to Chaney, I couldn't tell you, but I also lost Delbert Ferguson.
Yeah.
Did Delbert play for you, or were you out?
No,
No.
I was gone.
You were.
Yeah.
Gone.
No, I was gone, man.
But
yeah.
This kid was. I mean, I had his sister in homeroom, and he was coming on
good.
games. Yeah, and then all of a sudden he turned on a dime. I mean,
well, the reason I brought it up was just because, knowing you, that stubborn, hard-headed, mentality of
I'll
you just
show you.
you just throw a future D1 kid out, of a junior high game that maybe you could get a shot at. That's
well,
But he did the right thing. I mean,
yeah.
No,
here's the thing that again, and I don't know if I ever mentioned it to you. I think we talked about it. No, I was talking to another guy a couple of days ago about when I went to Ursuline. I made a statement to my wife that I had to eat for about 3 years. I said, we don't have to worry about winning anymore. I thought Ursuline was the way it was when I was there, but they had not kept up with what was going on in off season and so forth. They had some kids, but they were letting their elementary kids go. Nobody was going after the elementary kids, so they were going to Chaney. They were going to Fitch. They didn't have an off season, the whole 9 yards, and so I get there and we go 3-7. Man, that's the first losing season they had in 30 years. I'm like miserable, and I'm looking and I got a tailback that's about a 5'2". I go, this ain't happening again. This is not going to happen again. So the first thing is I want every 8th grader in our parochial system on our side of town. I want them all. I don't care if they can't chew gum. I don't care if they play football. I want them. Obviously, there's going to be football players in there, so I want those. The guys that can't play are going to help pay my salary, so I want them. And the guys that can't play, they're going to make our enrollment go up, and we're going to stay Division II, so I want them. So that was the whole thing. And then the public school situation was if someone indirectly came to us and said this family was interested, then I'd say, all right, they got to make an appointment to come to school, because I never wanted anybody to think that they owned me, like because they were going to come. Like the Al Anderson, he actually he worked in a cafeteria, pay for his tuition, which I never thought he would do, and then he worked one summer outside. Nobody ever went for free, but we did have we had these, they were called Bowers grants for needy students, and they were in 300 denominations. And I think by the end of the year, by the end of my career at Ursuline, every student in Ursuline had at least a $300 one because tuition was going up, you know. And that was the only thing they ever did for me. I said, look, I need 6 of those things, and I need 3 more doubles to help me get kids to go, you know. And, you know, Danny Fetcher was a perfect example. You know, he was on his way to Chaney, and I just thought he was so valuable because he was so academically, and he was a St. Brendan's guy, which I was a St. Brendan's guy. So I really wanted Danny. He came and he played well for us and did well and so forth. So, but it was, you know, nobody ever went free. But yeah, I'll tell you one thing we did that was really funny. Well, it wasn't funny, but we busted our ass. Was that there was a friend of mine that had a tire company that was moving his tire company. And I go, well, wait a minute. What's it going to cost you to move your tire company? He goes, it's going to be about 40 grand. I go, you got to be kidding me. I go, we'll do it for 20. He goes, what? I said, we'll do it for 20. So I get juniors and seniors, guys that need money and so forth. And we did 3 days of work, and we moved him from the small building to the big building, right? So everybody that worked, I gave $100 to. I said, that's, you know, for, you know, work you did. I go, the rest of the money's going on your tuition. And it went all under their tuition. Now, was that legal? Probably not. I don't know. They could take me to court now. I really don't give a shit. But I mean, those kids worked their butt off, you know, and I wasn't going to give them a dime. And one of my coaches goes, you got to, coach, they've been working for 3 days, man. You got to give them $100. I go, yeah, you're right. You know, so we gave them $100, and the rest we put in the fund, and I gave it to the bookkeeper. I go, hey, when they need their tuition paid, there it is. They already worked for it, you know. But you know, it was we had to survive, man. You know, and that was part of the way we survived. And you know, when St. Brendan's closed, and the big thing was St. Christine's. When I first went there, that was open season. Mooney was taking them all, whether they lived in our district or not, because the Ursuline staff wasn't dealing with it. So I said, well, if they're in our staff, if they're in our part of the river, then they got to come to Ursuline. And we spent a lot of time doing that, and parochial games and stuff like that. And I know it's changed a lot now, and I'm glad I'm not involved with it. But I always slept pretty good at night. And, we were fortunate that we were good because we did what you did, Ron. We were in the weight room.
Yeah.
And Red was ahead of his game.
Way ahead.
Way ahead. And you know, Jerry Hamlin came in, and he knew what it was too. And you know, the double team, power eye, kick out, we would double team and point and attack inside, outside was new to the area, the whole 9 yards. And he was into the weight room. And when we came, and that was another thing, Ursuline didn't even have a weight room when I came in 1979. You know, I had to take the Glee Club room. I said, I told Kerry, I says, I got to have the Glee Club room. He says, well, you show me you have a program, you'll get it. So we go 3-7. I says, I know the program wasn't very good, but that's why we need the weight room. And he said, okay, you can have it. The next day I went in there with our coaches, and we tore the whole thing apart to make it naked. So he couldn't come back and say, you can't do it. You know, that was our first weight room. I've never been back since I left. So I know they have bigger weight room and so forth, but we were constant lifters. You know, here in Dallas, you were part of it, you know. I would tell our kids, we are lifting. You know, we did it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then we went Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes we did a Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We changed during the years and so forth. But I said, you got to be there. there's only two excuses you have to miss weightlifting. One, you got a test. And if you got a test, I'm going to want to see the grade, and you better get a B. Two, you're going for your driver's license, because that's the most important thing in your life at 16 years old. You got to get that driver's license, man. You got to get freed. And they go, are you kidding me? I go, no, driver's license. You got to get it. Get it. So you don't have to have your parents driving you up here for weightlifting.
We called it voluntarily mandatory.
Yes, that was our term too. It's all voluntary, mandatory, And the greatest thing was I would go into whoever the principal was. I said, look, I don't want to study all. I don't want a free period. I want to be in the cafeteria 3 periods. And I did it at Howland, same thing. I want to be in a cafeteria. Don't give me a prep period. I want to be in a cafeteria 3. And I would be there. And if they missed, I was right up to them. Where were you, man? Oh, I had a test. Where's your grade? I got it right here. Or I'm getting driver's license. Yeah. Or, oh, I missed, coach. I said, well, you better not miss tomorrow night, or you're mine, and it's voluntary, but you better be there. And you know what? Once you got them in there and you had them for a month, they just became committed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They wanted to go there. They would be looking in the mirror, they'd be flexing. They'd be, hey, and I'd see them at lunch. I go, hey, who's that girl you were talking to at lunchtime? They go, oh, coach, I'm thinking about asking her out. I go, well, you better get in the weight room a little bit to build that body up. You do all that stuff. You know that, right?
Yep.
And that's the fun of it, And, we gave more shirts out for clubs and things like that, and motivation, and, it was a fun time, and I hope guys are having as much fun as we did, because I know you had fun. I know I did, and obviously winning is important. But you know what? And I know you never did that. We never tried to embarrass anybody, and there was very few times we could, but we would never do it. We would play a bad Cleveland team, and we call it a mom and dad game. All the sophomores are going to play, and it was going to be, and we were never going to beat them 65 or 70 to nothing to make our quarterback throw for 2,000 yards or anything. And by the end of by the start of the second half, the backups were in, and by the fourth quarter, the sophomores were in, and they were so happy they couldn't wait to get out of the shower room and get up to the dance because they had played, right?
Yeah, Don asked me one time. When we dropped him, he said, I saw him at a basketball game, and he said, Ron, how come you dropped us? He said, are you guys afraid of us? I said, Don, listen, the last time I had anything to do with a win with the outcome of a Chaney Mooney game was when I was a senior in Chaney, and we beat your ass 26-6. I said, no, it's just a practical thing. I said, we don't belong playing the schedule that we're playing. That's when we had you and him and Boardman and Fitch.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was nuts.
Yeah, you're right. It was a practical thing, but
we were trying to get back on our feet after the program and
right
down for a while. So
you did the right thing, because Chaney, the Fitch game was a money game and a great thing, and but it was a tough game, and you didn't need to play us, you didn't need to play them,
and I told him, I said, listen, Don, I said, if I need a game, I can always call Dick because he'll find one for me.
That's right. I would. You know that. I know that. People.
That's a fact.
Because and you know what, Ron? I still read the scores every Friday night. So I still know who you can play and who you shouldn't.
There you go.
Ron Berdis used to call me all the time. He says, should I play this team? Nah, who else is it? Oh, yeah, play them. But, here's one. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but before the city split up, you guys actually owned Mooney. And Mooney owned us. And we kind of owned you. You guys, you guys would beat Mooney all the time. We'd tie him or lose to him. And then we'd nip you and they beat us.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at those scores, but there's many a time and so it ended up Chaney Mooney tied for cities or Chaney Ursuline tied for the city, because there was always that, somebody was going to beat. You were going to beat if for some reason Chaney had Mooney's number in the mid 60s to the late 60s. And we certainly didn't, because we tied them. My 3 years that I played, we lost one and we tied two. And then, we were fortunate to beat Chaney the 3 years. But you guys got them a few times and I loved it. Oh, I hope Don isn't listening. But,
hey, so
but yeah, you're right. It just it's crazy, but it's all fun, and I miss it. I go back tomorrow if I could, But I don't. I like fishing with my grandson and coaching hum batter with my granddaughter. So it's taking the place.
So I've one question. So one of the things that we talked a lot about when we started all this was, from 1926 till when Ron walked away in 2006, there were 4 head coaches in Chaney history. And, I think that's really one of the unique things, about that program. Do you have any thoughts on, and I guess paralleling it to today, you don't see that. You see guys either take a job and leave, or you see guys get hired. Maybe they don't have instant success, and somebody moves on from them. What's kind of your thoughts on just that legacy, right? For men, coaching one team in a total of 80 years.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's I kind of related to the college situation a little bit too, but if you look in the city, I think it was fairly close that way too. There wasn't too many coaches at South or at Ran. People stayed with coaches because they were mentored into the job. Ron just didn't get the job. He had coached for Ed. He had played for Chaney. He had coached, at other places. So he was ready, And so when he came in, they were going to stay with him because they knew he was ready. When Eddie took over for Red, it was the same thing. When Red took over for McFee, there was a lot more patience and commitment to the hard work that had to go into winning. Today, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of cowboys out there. Boom, boom. I don't mean Chaney Cowboys. I mean guys that are firing the 6-gun and they want to score 70 points a game. They don't care who they're beating. They're about stats. They're about getting the next job, getting more money. They're about doing, it's a different attitude today. I went back to my alma mater. I was committed to it. It was hard to do. It's hard to go back to your alma mater. Ron will tell you, because people remember you as a student, teachers that you had, and then you've got to talk to the teachers because maybe a kid is misbehaving or whatever and so forth. And they look at you and so forth. So it's not easy to go back to your home school. But, on the other hand, you're getting help too. But we wanted them to be successful because we knew the history. Ron knew the history of Chaney. They had flipped that coin in 63, and I don't know how many losing seasons they had from after 63. 63, they were, I think, 6-4 or 5-5. And then, you know, to your career, you know, I mean, everybody stumbled. I mean, I stumbled my first 2 years at Ursuline, you know, but we kept to the nose because we knew the plan. We knew the plan that had worked in the past, and we were going to keep part of that plan in. And then we knew the new plan that we learned from going to clinics and coaching with other people that was going to make us be winners again. And people were willing to stay and hang in there. The other thing is, I think coaches' wives today have changed. You know, when my wife was a deer, you know, she knew from August to November, football was there. And, you know, it got to the point where she got smart enough. We had a place down here in South Florida, and during doubles, she said, look, I'm not staying for doubles. You go at 6, you don't get home till 8. I'm going down to Florida to sit in the sun and have fun. And my sister's coming, my niece is coming, and blah, blah, blah. You know, but I'll be back when do we play? We play Friday or Saturday. I'll be home that morning for the first game. And she went to every game. It was a great story of my wife. My son's a freshman at West Point, playing on the plebe team. And they're playing at noon on Friday. They're playing at, I want to say up by Cornell. They're playing at Cornell, which is like a 5 or 6 hour drive. So my wife gets in the car at 5:30 in the morning, packed with food and drink, drives up to the game by herself, watches my son and the kids play. After the game, all his buddies come to her truck and her SUV, and she feeds them with pop and Gatorade and pizza and homemade cookies and packs them up, and they're allowed to stay for an hour, gets in a car, drives all the way back to Youngstown, gets there at 11:30 and comes down to Blake's to meet me. That's a coach's wife.
That's a coach's wife.
Now, my son was more important than my game, and that's the way it should have been. But you know, that, you know, she was, and your wife had to be the same way, Ron. She had to back you. She knew the tough times and the stuff. You know, there was a couple of times when my wife said, hey, if you don't flip this, you don't have a better year than last year. You don't have to worry about getting out. I'll make you get out. You know, there were some of those threats too. You know, but she was a coach's wife. And even my assistants coaches, you know, their wives were a lot more understanding than I think young ladies are today. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So consequently, I don't think guys stay in it long enough to, I don't think you're going to see too many 20 years, 25 years, 30 years guys doing it because of the time we live in and what's going on and so forth. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I think one of my proudest things is because, you know, I had success at good success at Kennedy because they were perennial losers in Sharon, and we became very competitive, and that was fun. And I went to Ursuline and I did it, and of course they were both private schools. So again, you get inundated with that. All you did was recruit. Well, you know, I question that. But so one of the things that's funny, when I went to Howland and was introduced, the guy made a statement. He said, all right, man, Angle, now we're going to see what kind of coach you are. Because you got the Howland kids. And I was really upset. I go, what do you mean? What do you mean Howland kids? Kids are kids. Kids are kids, you know, and they're kids at Chaney are just like Howland kids. Howland kids are just like South Range kids. You know, they want to work, they want to win if given the right circumstance. So, you know, that motivated me so much, and you know, we were very successful, you know, and you know, to get 100 wins, more than 100 wins at Ursuline and get more than 100 wins at Howland, public and private, I don't know too many people can say they did that. And it wasn't because I was a good coach. It was because I had coaches that we were talking about, and I had players that you and I loved the coach because they worked to get better. You know, and you're looking at them at sophomores, and I'm sure you had coaches tell you, or your line coach would say, "Oh man, look at Bobby Johnson, man. He'll never be a player." You know, and you'd say, "Hey, he's only a sophomore. Let's get him going. Let's get him going. By the time he's a junior, he'll be ready to play." Right? How many of those kids they were ready to play?
Yeah,
because it's something clicked in. You had to push them to be sophomores to get through. But when they turned to juniors and they got through the sophomore year, a scout team and getting into games and so forth, and then you'd say, "Hey, we're going to start lifting right after Christmas." No, let's start now. It would be the sophomores that won. They were going to be juniors. You know, they were ready to take that crossover, and that's how you win. It has nothing to do about magic of you and me. It's the commitment and again, accountability that we had in ourselves for our kids that we coach. Simple. It's simple.
Never
but
quit on a kid.
It's hard to do. Pardon?
Never quit on a kid.
Right. Exactly. You know, and that's the beauty of the game. And you know, I laugh. You know, I've never been a Deion Sanders fan, but you know, he made a comment a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago. TCU was trying to talk him into maybe applying and all that stuff, and he said, "Well, they just want to know how I did it, how I turned Jackson State around or whatever." And you know, he said, hard work, commitment by them, commitment by me, you know, loyalty and accountability. He said all those things. He says it's nothing new, but few people are willing to do it. Because it takes how long, Ron? Not more than 2 hours, right? It takes a lifetime.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and I think for me, you know, having played for you and having coached with Ron, I think that what you know, you guys, the pillars of what you're teaching are the same. The both of you have said on multiple occasions, it's not you, it's the people that you were surrounded with. It's the accountability. It's bringing in good people, giving them responsibility, and then stepping back and letting them run with it. And you know, the parallels between the two programs and both of you guys as mentors for me are you know, they're pretty much the same, and just different messages or how it was given. But
well, I would be disappointed if you didn't say that.
Yeah.
Because I think Ron was a great coach, and I know why it was, because he did those things you're talking about.
Yeah.
And with his staff, surrounded with good people, and made kids good kids, and he made them committed, he made them accountable. And that's why he's once a cowboy and always a cowboy.
Yeah.
So that's a good statement. And you guys have a great thing going on with your alumni. You have alumni golf outing, right? With the Chaney alumni football players and stuff.
There used to be, but now it's just once a cowboy, always a cowboy. Which it's open to all alumni, not just football. But Dallas and I actually are kicking around the possibility of a football reunion.
That would be great. Yeah. That you should do it. Don't kick around, do it. You know, and maybe group it. You know, have a couple of them and or do a mass one. I would. There's guys I would love to see from Sharon that I have not seen in years, and guys at Ursuline, obviously, and kids at Kennedy and so forth. Once in a while, when I get back, I try to get with groups and so forth. But the mass reunion would be fun. it would be fun, and you could do it probably at Chaney, right, in your cafeteria. You'd be able to do that, or somebody would give you a place to go. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you doing this, and I mean it's fantastic. I think a lot of great stories, a lot of good memories. Ron, do you have anything you want to end with or say?
No, it was great catching up, and it was a pleasure having you. And believe this or not, a lot of the things that we did, as far as program, we modeled after your program. I mean, I always had great respect for, what you guys did, and Pope worked for you, and he brought some of that flavor over to us, and it was a great thing. And we really appreciate it.
That's why you're a smart coach. Smart coaches take from other coaches, right? And I did it myself, with Cougars and everybody, with even Jim Mon. So that's how you have success, and keep up what you're doing. It's fun. I mean, history is something that, that people have to listen to and hear, because there's so many talented kids and so many things that happen in programs and so forth that are good chuckles, but we know one thing: everybody that left Chaney and left our program left as a better person. No question about that. I know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been fun.
No, it's been.
And I know
great.
my wife's happy because she didn't have to put up with me for 2 hours. I'm going to go out and fish.
There you go.
All right.
Great to see you,
Thank
Dick.
you.
Hear the history of Chaney football from the unique perspective of Coach Ron Berdis.